Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mr. Writers or Fans. This is another mini-sode. These mini-sodes are new. This is the second mini-sode we're doing. These are generally fun and sort of lighthearted things that I put in between the episodes so that I can sort of post every week, but also have some things where you guys get to know me a little bit better beyond the normal podcast. So, like I said, usually these are sort of fun. This one's not going to be that necessarily. Sorry. My editor ended up making a bit of a mistake, and he had to go back and re-render everything. And I think it might have been a bit of a blessing in disguise, because the truth is, I've got some videos coming up pretty soon. Like the next couple episodes have some pre-recorded intros that has a lot of like, I'm so excited for this new editing thing, or I feel so good right now about this thing I'm working on. And I don't really want that to be the next thing you hear from me after everything that we're dealing with right now. I think it might be good for me to have a chance to just sort of like talk with you, and that's kind of like all I do this episode, is kind of check in with you and with me, and with how all of us are doing in this crazy world that we're living in right now. So if you're in the future listening to this, first of all, like, how are things? I hope they're good. I hope that they're better than they are, and they're not as frightening and horrifying as sort of this hellscape that we're living in right now, and it's not as depressing, and we can like look forward to positive things. I hope that that's the world you're living in. Please give me confirmation on mostwritersorfans.com if that is the case. If you're listening to this in the now, this is the day after the presidential election, with against Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. The thing we didn't want to happen happened, and we are here now. And I just wanted to sort of like chat a little bit, because today has been a rough day, to say the least. It's been a long day. I'm a high school teacher, and I live in a rural red state, and a lot of my kids are really into Donald Trump. So it was really hard for me to see them so excited and sort of like ask me things about it, want to talk about it. And then I just sort of say, because like I do this thing sometimes where I'm like, I don't want to show my bias to you because I'm a teacher. I feel like I'm more effective as a teacher if I don't sort of tell you like all of my beliefs. So I was doing that today, but what I really wanted to say was like, I don't want to talk about this right now because it's just really painful for me to have this conversation and to even talk about it, because I want to just not think about it right now. Could we please not think about it right now? And you just can't say that when you're doing a job, when you're trying to like take care of, a classroom full of kids. So, it was a long day to kind of, because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, if any, frankly, because I stayed up to watch the results, because I wanted to torture myself, I guess. And so then I was tired all day as I sort of like went through all of this. And also, like, I was a teacher today. So like, it's just a lot to have to balance, and I'm sure a lot of you guys had similar situations today. I'm sure plenty of you had to go to work and make the best of whatever you are dealing with. And so first of all, a big part of this podcast, I like to call it a support group, is sort of like this, you're not alone. So extending that again, you're not alone. We're in this together. You're not the only one that feels this way. So many of us feel this way, and we're in this together. So that's sort of like the first thing I want to say. The second thing I wanted to say, I wrote a post on Medium today, but I'm just going to sort of echo the advice I gave in that. I got this book. It was a gift from one of my good friends in 2016. I think it was like Christmas of that year, called Feeding the Resistance. Basically, it's this cookbook that has a bunch of different recipes from a bunch of different organizers, like political organizers. And it talked about, like, it's a bunch of simple recipes is the main idea, so that you can like cook things and not starve and eat good food. But then it also had a lot of like practical advice about like building a movement and sort of sustainable change and that kind of thing. And the thing that it really stuck with me, this is sort of like a piece of advice that's towards the beginning of the book, was that you can't do it all. I talked about this with this podcast before. Whenever everything is going bad, our instinct is to try to like pay attention to everything, consume everything, be on the know for like everything. And the truth is, that's not great for our mental health, and it's not good for our well-being, because whenever you do that, what you end up doing is you want to do everything too. You want to go to every protest, you want to write every letter, you want to donate to everything, you want to be posting everything, you want to be always doing the things that are helpful. And the truth is, whenever you do everything, what you end up doing is sort of nothing meaningful, because you're just sort of like throwing tiny little, it's like tossing little pennies in a fountain, right? You're not really doing anything to actually move the water out of there. You're just doing little things to feel like you're doing something. And like, no shade to people that need to feel like they're doing something. Like that's part of this too. Like, if you're doing something performative and you know it's for you, and it is maybe marginally helpful, but also like it makes you feel a little bit better, that's okay. Like, that's okay to do that, as long as you sort of acknowledge that and you accept that that's part of it. uh like understand that maybe you're not moving things forward, but like you just need to feel like you're doing something, and that's fine if that's like where you're at. But the advice that it really gave, that I really appreciated, was that whenever you do this, it's important to kind of like pick, like, when you want to really really be effective, the thing that they suggested was to have 3 issues that you choose, that you work on. So I'll sort of like go through, because I thought of this a couple days ago, because I was like, I need to be prepared in case worst case scenario happens, so that I'm not blindsided like I was in 2016. And I still was, but I was a little bit more ready. And so the plan that I put together was, so first of all, the first thing that it suggests is to have something that you sort of like do almost passively, like something that you support that is important, but you just kind of like, it's a set it and forget it kind of deal, right? So for me, what I've decided is I'm going to pick a local abortion fund that I'm going to set up a recurring donation to, because that feels like a way that I can substantially help people in my area that really, really need help and will be especially struggling during these upcoming times. And so that's the thing I'm going to be doing. And this could be anything. And honestly, like, even if you don't have a ton of money, like $1, $5 a month, it is like really helpful for a lot of these like smaller nonprofits and organizers, because they like, if it's a sustainable, like if it's a recurring donation, that means it's money that they can count on every month, and it allows them to actually like make budgets and things that they can actually like follow through on. So even if it's just like a $5 a month donation recurring, if they have a handful of those, then they can say, oh well, we're gonna have at least $200 every month for this foreseeable future, and that will really help us. Even though that's not a ton of money, we know we can count on that. We know we're going to have it. So, so sort of like, that's sort of the first thing. Identify something you can do sort of like passively, sort of just like donate money to, and just sort of like do it every month. Like, do something consistently every month. But then that's sort of it. Like, you don't do anything else with that issue. That is the thing you did with that issue. So like I said, it doesn't have to be an abortion fund. It could be, a like halfway house for like trans and queer youth. It could be, immigration reform, like some of the nonprofits that help with like immigration and housing, refugees, things like that. Like, there's so many great things that are gonna need help in the upcoming months, that you can find one that you're gonna be passionate about, that you can contribute to. So do that. Number 2 is find a cause that you can sort of be a bit more participatory in. You're not doing all the things, you're not like doing everything, but you are sort of like staying informed and sort of like sharing information, posting things about it. So for me, I'm going to be doing like a lot of like the trans advocacy and trans issues. I'm going to try to stay up to date with a lot of like those laws that are happening, like sort of those draconian laws that are coming up, as well as like just the people that need help, the resources that are available for trans people, because as a queer author, I do have a bit of a queer following, and this is a place that if I shared information on my platform, might actually get to the people that need it. So that's what I chose. But again, like, just sort of like picking something so that this information can be shared for these causes that are important. So just pick one that's close to you that you don't mind following, you feel like you can commit to, and that's sort of like that. That's what you do there, and that's most of what you do there. Is you just sort of like find the information, you share it. You don't more active than that. That's the thing you do. And then the third thing is the thing where you're in it. So this is the thing that you're like volunteering for. You're recruiting volunteers. You're pulling shifts. Like you're like in it. Like you're like on the ground doing it. So for me, this was a bit unique because, like I said, I do live in a red state in a rural area, and I've been very frustrated for the past several years, frankly, with my local Democratic Party because I've just not been organizing effectively. In this past election, I got really frustrated at the ballot because there were a number of like a couple of like state Congress seats, like delegate, Senate, that didn't have people running on the Democrat ticket. And it's like, why would you not at least pick someone, like find someone that will run, because they may not win, but they might. And like, it's just constantly frustrating that like, I know that people like to think that people in red states are kind of like the people that are the people in red states are like always going to be that way and nothing can change them. But the truth is, like, West Virginia went for Bernie Sanders in the primary in 2016. And I think that people here do like progressive policies when they hear them, but I think that they need to hear them. And I think that here in West Virginia, especially, a lot of politicians, even the Democrats, try to run away from these progressive issues because like it's going to alienate people here if we talk about it. But the truth is, if they never hear it, they can't form an opinion about it. Or the only way they're hearing about it is on like Fox News or Newsbacks or whatever, where they're demonizing the issue. So like if you could talk about it in a way that is just like common sense and effective, then maybe that could actually sway some opinions. So what I have decided to do for my third issue is I'm going to start a pack here locally where I can like start organizing and try to mobilize a bit of a ground game and start identifying like people that could be swayable, because someone has to do it. Someone has to do it. It may as well be me. And that's sort of like where I'm at with that. And that is the thing that I'm going to be sort of like all in on. With all that said, I'm probably going to take a month or two to like deal with everything, to grieve a little bit, to sort of like accept the new reality that we're living in, because it's not the reality I thought we'd be living in right now. And that is a stark awakening that I didn't really want to have to like deal with, and now I do. So I think that that's also something to keep in mind. Like, it is okay to take time for you. You don't have to be doing it all right away. We're allowed to sort of like take time for ourselves. It's not selfish to recharge your batteries a little bit. And, a lot of our batteries got real drained last night. And that's just part of it. So, that's sort of it. This is a very raw, I'm not even going to edit this. I'm just going to kind of throw it up the way it is. But this is sort of like the basics, sort of the things I wanted to talk about. I just wanted you guys, again, just sort of to reiterate, I wanted you guys to know that I always feel more comfortable in a crisis if I can feel like I have some level of agency. And I think that having a bit of a plan for how you're going to be more of an advocate, be a bit more active in your advocacy, gives you a bit of agency and allows you to feel like you have at least a little bit of control, like you're doing the things you can to make everything a little bit better. So I think that if that would help you, and I think it might, if you're someone like me, sort of like, you don't even have to, like I said, you don't even have to do it right now. Maybe give it a month or two, let the new year hit, whatever. But pick your 3 causes, figure out the 3 things you want to work on. And the key to this strategy, just before I wrap up, the key to this strategy is that you don't do other things. Like you might occasionally write a letter, you might occasionally go to a protest that's not one of your 3 issues, but you got to trust, and this is like, we all got to trust that there's other people doing the work that we're not doing, because there are. Because there are. And if we are dedicated to the things that we've chosen, then we need to trust that there are other people doing the same thing with issues that we're not working on. And that is okay. And honestly, we're more effective when we do that, because then we're at least effective in the things that we've chosen. So, and that's part of it. So, that's sort of like back to what I said in the beginning. You're not in this alone. We're all in this together. We're all working together. Believe it or not, we're working together to try to build a better society. And it sometimes feels like you're alone. It does. But I promise we're not. So, just hang in there. If you guys need a place to vent, like, feel free to find me on social media. Feel free to go to the website, shoot me some messages. I'm happy to. I may not read everything, but feel free, if you need to write to a void and you feel like it's a person, I'm here for that. Like send it my way. I might read it. I feel like I probably will, frankly, but maybe I won't. But if nothing else, it'll give you a place to sort of like write these feelings down and send them out. That might help you feel a little bit better, because sometimes you just got to get it out. So we'll be back next week with a full episode. I have an interview with Kid Vincent, this really incredible non-binary author. I'm a big fan of them. We had a really great conversation that'll be coming out next week. And then the week after that, we will have the minisode that was going to come out this week, which is about DCOMs, Disney Channel Original Movies. So there is fun things coming up. I know this is a bit of a downer, but I tried my best to sort of like try to help us move forward, because we got to move forward, but you don't got to do it today. Like, it's okay to take some time too. So, like I always say, if you have any questions, I'm here. If you need any help, I'm here. But don't be afraid to tell your stories, because that is how people will know that we are here, and the things we do, the things we need, the things we care about is in our stories. So don't be afraid to tell your stories. I'm Terry Bartley. See you next time.